In March of 2023, just 5 months after the public release of ChatGPT, which happened in November 2022, Bill Gates wrote this blog, which is "The Age of AI Has Begun." And this blog post in general talks about the impact of artificial intelligence on different fields. Two fields that Bill Gates had focused a lot in this blog post is healthcare and how AI is going to become instrumental in removing health inequities around the world, right? And the second field is education. But he also described a very interesting story in this blog. And the story goes that Bill Gates said that in his lifetime, he has seen two demonstrations of technology that struck him as revolutionary. And the first was 1980, when a programmer named Charles Simonyi has demoed graphical user interface to Bill Gates, right? 1980, we are talking about roughly 45 years ago. Until GUIs for short was invented, if you had to use computers, you have to sit in front of black screen, type some code, whatever you want to do. There's no mouse, there's no interface, right? So graphical user interface became the foundation for Windows. Later, Charles joined Microsoft and has worked with Bill Gates for a very long time. And then graphical user interface has become basically the foundation of any software that you use today. Think about it, right? How many times do you actually write code to use any software in your day-to-day life, whether it's a Teams application, Zoom, whether it's Microsoft Word or Excel, you are operating it through a user interface. So the impact of graphical user interface was huge. The second time where he felt the technology is just is going to have a very huge impact over many decades is he describing the event in mid 2022, few months before ChatGPT was revealed to public. And he said, "I was aware of OpenAI's progress since 2016 and have been talking with Sam Altman regularly. But in 2022 summer, Bill Gates has set a challenge for OpenAI, said, look, we would create a independent college level exam, AP biology exam. We'll set up 60 MCQs, we'll hire somebody independently, and we will see if your chatbot can answer these questions, right?" And he has chosen biology because to answer college level AP biology exam, you have to do more than memorization, right? It is not just depending on your memory because there's a lot of logic or a lot of sort of thinking goes into answering biology questions, right? And he said this test happened 60 MCQ questions, and the chatbot got 59 of them correct, right? Which is already a A+ grade if you compare it with any other student, right? And he said after that there were 6 subjective questions, which was again hired, the chatbot was used to generate the answer, and then independent evaluator was asked to evaluate the answers, and it came back with the A+ grade, which is great. And then he said, I asked one random question to chatbot that, what would you say to the father of sick children? And he said the answer this technology has generated is probably better and more empathic than the answer anybody in the room could give at that point. And he said, at that moment, I've realized that this is probably the biggest technology of our lifetimes that we all have seen, and it has just started. If you look at the history, last 200, 300 years, right, you would see two very distinct patterns coming out from this graph, right? One thing that you would see is the time span of each wave of innovation is becoming shorter and shorter, right? As you go from left to right, you're moving forward in time, right? So leftmost is 1700s and rightmost is 2020, right? You would see as you move from left to right, the time span it takes for a technology to start, go at peak, and come down, meaning become a normal part of our life. is getting shorter and shorter, and it is the time spent it takes to go technology to the peak is becoming shorter and shorter. So you see lines are steep as you go from left to right, right? But the one main point I want to point out, whether you're looking at water power, rail, steel, electricity, petrochemicals, software, every piece of technology that we have seen so far, there's one thing common in all of that. When we created the technology, we knew the bound of technology. For example, when we were creating aeroplanes, we knew that aeroplanes, this is the function of aeroplanes. They are going to fly. And these are the risks of air travel, right? AI is the only technology in our lifetime where the bounds are still unknown. And just a few weeks ago, I was watching an interview of Bill Gates on a late night show where the interviewer has asked this question, like, many bad things can happen with AI. There's impact in economy, impact in jobs, misinformation, disinformation. There's so many good things can also happen. What do you think is the biggest risk, right? And he didn't say that job loss is the big, it's one of the top three risks, but the biggest risk, he say, is risk of unknown. We don't know what is the bound. We know planes can fly and electricity can power your ecosystem. We don't know if AI is only capable of generating, just text, your resume, your CV, emails, images, videos, audios, just entertainment, or would it also be capable of inventing novel ideas? Would AI be capable of inventing drugs for new kind of problems, or would AI be capable of inventing new concepts, right? Because this is the first technology that is actually learning. Everything that we have seen prior to this are explicitly programmed. No matter how much advanced technology you are using today, it is explicitly programmed to do that thing. AI is the first technology of our lifetime, and perhaps the only technology of our lifetime, where it is capable of learning these skills just like humans would learn. A British philosopher, Arthur Clarke, once said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And this is the closest we have come in our lifetime to magic. I'm going to play this video. This is a demo of Neuralink human brain interface M1 device. It's a chip that can go into your brain and you can do wonders. As of 2024, this technology has been piloted on humans. This video is few years old. At that point in time, it was experimented on monkeys, but this technology is now sort of getting into a phase where every company is getting approval and they are sort of going from experimenting on animal to actually solving problems for human. Okay, let's see the video.
The e-scooter voted the most reliable. Experience the ultimate ride with the only e-scooter. This is Pager. He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. You can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learned to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw. We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker. The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements. Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm, we are able to predict Pager's intended hand movements in real time. First, we calibrate the decoder by recording neural activity as Pager uses the joystick to move a cursor to targets presented on the screen. As he's playing this game, we are wirelessly streaming, in real time, the firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer. Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce. After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity. Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone. Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong. To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed a joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink. As you can see, Pager is amazingly good at Mind Pong. He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition. It's not magic. The reason Neuralink works is because it's recording and decoding electrical signals from the brain. Great game, Pager. And what better reward for a monkey than a banana?
So this looks like magic, but this is not a magic. This technology specifically is called Human Brain Interface, HBI, and it's been there for a very long time. You can go on YouTube and you can actually see demos of this technology dated back to early 2000s, where a person sitting in a lab and so many wires and machines connected to the body, a person is thinking, and just by thinking, the person can write the email. So technology is not new, but really what is groundbreaking here is Neuralink and there are a few other companies were able to sort of implement this in such a way that it is now commercializable, right? So thinking about this, a chip, a very small chip that goes into brain, connects with the device over Bluetooth protocol, and it can transmit information between your brain and any electric device. In this case, it was a game. It could be a remote for a TV. It could be a laptop. It could be a phone. It could be any electric device, right? So a person with paralysis is actually the very big use case for a device like this, because people who are impaired, and if what is broken is the connection between the neurons that brain fire and the physical function, then a device like this that can use artificial intelligence to map these signals with the action. That means that if you are playing a game, instead of physically moving your body, if you are connected to that device, in your brain you are thinking, and the type of neurons you are firing is going to cause the action on the device. This is artificial intelligence, but this is one type of artificial intelligence. In fact, what I'm going to talk about today is a totally different type, and rather a new type of artificial intelligence called generative AI, right? But I wanted to show this video to give you a sense that technology in last 10 years has traveled, I can't say at the speed of light, but very close to that, right? Another blog by Bill Gates, November 2023, so roughly a year ago, AI is about to completely change how you use computers, right? Think about this. Today, when you are using computer, right, you want to type something or draft a letter, you use Microsoft Word. You want to create a spreadsheet, a financial plan, a budget, you use Microsoft Excel. You want to browse the internet, you use a browser. You want to design something, you would use Adobe Photoshop. You want to write a code, you would use a Python terminal, right? There are 10,000 or probably 10 million different applications and softwares. The reason this happened is because up until now, we didn't had a common way to interface human language with computers because the technology was not there. But right now, as it looks like what is going to happen or what could realistically happen is our human language could become a common interface for every application, meaning computer in the future could be like a pen in your pocket that you are speaking to. And this pen knows how to browse, how to create an email, or how to book an appointment with your barber, or how to do the searching, how to create a report, how to apply for a job. That's the idea. The other big thing is every technology that exists today is not capable of initializing the interaction, right? What does that mean? Whatever technology you use, you as a human take the first step and you get the answer back. As it looks like, AI is capable to create systems that would be capable to initialize the conversation or initialize the interaction with human being, right? So think about you getting a phone call or a WhatsApp message from an AI bot who is following up on something against an email that you got 2 days ago from a professor, right? You didn't go to ask anybody. It's an AI bot that has access to all your email, everything in your life, all your digital life, and it is capable of doing same things that you can do, perhaps faster and much, much better and cheaper. And this is the elephant in the room. If not the first, but it is one of the top 3 risks of AI, specifically generative AI, right? There was always the case against automation would impact jobs. There is no doubt about that, right? Automation would impact jobs. There's no doubt about that. But in last 2 years, the technology we have seen, generative AI and language models, are capable of more than automation. It's not just about automation now. It is also about tasks that you would normally associate human with, like thinking, planning, cognitive abilities. These models are doing that better than most human, faster than most human, and way, way cheaper than most human. The graph that you are looking at, McKinsey and every major consulting firm has a number out there. The one that is really big number is roughly 300 million jobs worldwide would be impacted by this technology by 2030. And 2030 is just 6 years away from today. But this graph on x-axis, you have different industries, and y-axis, the value is what percentage of jobs will be impacted. 25 is the average. So regardless of the profession, HR, marketing, finance, medicine, engineering, regardless of the profession, 3 out of 10 jobs, more or less gone, right? And if you want to see what are the sort of top industries that are very risky and is very prone to the automation, if you look at the left-hand side, office and admin support, right? If your job or your goal is to get a job where you want to translate from one language to other, draft letters, draft responses to letters, do sort of admin and support and legal sort of tasks, it's probably not a good idea to think about that in 2024, right? Because this 46% means 5 out of 10 people would be impacted, right? So if you choose this career, there's a very high likelihood in 4, 5, 6, 10 years, there would be a negative consequence. This is what it looks like today. The other thing you should pay attention to, it's not just the advancement, it's also the speed, right? This is a survey from McKinsey, happened in March of 2024, so 6 months ago, right? And what this survey says, they have asked 1,300 people at different level of organizations, okay? And they have asked this question in 2023, last year, and this year. And the conclusion of this, and the question was, do you use generative AI and language models like ChatGPT at your work? right? In 2024, 55% people said yes. And this is from February of this year, 6, 7, 8 months ago, right? In 2023, that number was 38%. In 2022, you don't see this on slide, but that number was less than 10%. So in 2 years, we have gone from 1 out of 10 people using this every day, all day, to 6 out of 10 people using it. And if I run this survey in my Queen's class, right? Every student will raise hand. So the ratio is 100%, right? The reason this is 55%, because in the survey, 1,300, 1,400 people, there are different backgrounds, there are different fields. Some fields doesn't care too much about AI at this point, right? But depending on where you run the survey, if you run it in a master's program that is sort of learning analytics or AI or even MBA, I can bet that 100% of the students are using this technology every day. And this has happened in a very, very short period of time. As a matter of fact, this graph that you're looking at tracks how long it takes for a technology or a platform to reach to 1 million users. If you see, Netflix launched in 1999, very old. Can't believe Netflix is that old. It took 3.5 years for Netflix to get their first million subscribers, right? Like to reach 1 million users. It took Twitter 2 years to get 1 million users. It took Instagram 2.5 months. It took 5 days for ChatGPT to get 1 million users. Can you imagine the type of virality this product has created? Because in true sense, this is the first AI which is truly democratized, right? Because no matter who you ask, they already know about this, and perhaps they are using it to create recipes or homework or resumes or at work, but they are aware, right? You have to realize that artificial intelligence is not a new thing, right? This word has been around for 70, 80 years. It has been there in many, many forms. Latest one being generative AI and language models like ChatGPT, right? But the history for artificial intelligence is very long. If you need a definition to work with, right? As I said, generative AI is one type of artificial intelligence. There are so many other things. This is a very big umbrella, and there are so many technologies that falls into this. So a working generic definition of AI, its ability of computer to do things that normally humans would do. If you can make computers see through cameras, obviously, right? If you can make computer think, do the planning, I want to go from A to B and B to C, what's the best way to go? So if computers can plan, if they can perceive ideas, if they can plan and design strategies, that is artificial intelligence, meaning that tasks that you would normally think only humans can do, now you have created a system and technology that computers are able to do that. If you go to trends.google.com and type the word artificial intelligence, and you can do this with any word, right? For example, you can go and type Bitcoin and you would see over the years what is the trend, right? This is Google trend, meaning how many people are searching for this over years. This graph is from 2004, so last 20 years of history. Y-axis is relative, 0 to 100. 100 means stop, right? Google will obviously not give you the absolute numbers. That's their private data, right? How many people are searching for the term. But this is relative. And if you see this really big spike here, this kind of obvious, the interest in artificial intelligence from this point onwards is in a different direction. What happened at this point? ChatGPT got released at this point. If you only zoom in last 5 years, you would see there is a constant inclining trend, right? The point being, today is the time where most people are searching or reading about artificial intelligence at any point of time in our history, right? Now, one thing you have to understand is when we talk about artificial intelligence, there are sort of three broad categories, right? This is one way to look at it. The first one, artificial narrow intelligence. Every technology that we have today is artificial narrow intelligence. ChatGPT is somewhere between artificial narrow intelligence and general intelligence. It's not quite yet a general intelligence, But what does it mean? And in the last category, artificial super intelligence, right? So there are three categories. Every system that we have today is narrow intelligence, meaning they can only do the tasks that we have designed them to do. So if I create an AI to predict if the customer will buy this or not, then that AI can only do that, right? If I design AI to drive a car autonomously, that AI can only drive the car. That AI can't buy my groceries or cannot book an appointment at a barber shop. Okay. If I have an AI that can predict whether patient has a cancer, it can do the diagnosis based on X-ray images, right? That AI can only do that. That AI will not be able to predict the credit card fraud for RBC. So narrow intelligence means it's great, it's better, right? But it is one task at a time. On the other end, general intelligence is like human being. I am capable of doing laundry. I am capable of cooking food. I am capable of doing my job. And if something I don't know, I am capable of reading and learning that, right? So the intelligence is generic. We humans, our intelligence is general. ChatGPT is the first sort of technology that gives us hope that there could be artificial general intelligence. Prior to this technology, all this was completely theoretical, right? Now, what would artificial general intelligence look like if you are thinking about it? It would be a technology that can do every task in the world that has an economic value, whether it's writing something, whether it's coding, whether it's designing marketing campaign, whether it's doing general accounting, whether it's doing financial planning. It can do every task that has economic value better than 99% people in the world, right? That, if you think about it, right, that is a very high goal. And artificial super intelligence is technology that is better than 100% of the human beings in all the fields. So a AI that can beat all the chess players, all the champions, all the sports, all the scientists, chemists, in every single field, it's better than the smartest human alive. The path from going narrow intelligence to general intelligence took us 50, 60 years, right? Because we've been talking about general intelligence for many, many years. The path to go from AGI to ASI will be much shorter. The reason being, at the AGI stage, these AI systems will be capable of self-improving, meaning it has reached to a stage where we are not just using them to write letters and homeworks and resumes and marketing campaigns, but we are asking them to do real research and improve their internal systems. It is equivalent of if you as a human gets the ability to go into your mind and optimize it and make yourself better every day, right? This is literally abnormal, right? Now, would AGI happen? When would it happen? There's a lot of different people with different opinion, right? Most people are saying that it would be anywhere between 2027 to 2030. I think there is no point of speculating, right? At this point, your guess when AGI would come at that point, it is capable to do everything. Your guess is as good as my guess, right? I don't think so. There's any value in sort of predicting when this will happen. But if you're looking at a long enough time frame, if you are here for a career change, if you're interested in pursuing something to do a career change, most likely you are looking at a 30-year, 25 to 30-year time span, maybe even more, right? So given that we are talking about 30-year time frame, it will happen in your lifetime. Will it happen 3 years, 5 years? Doesn't matter, right? But it will happen in your lifetime if you're looking at 25 to 30 years career ahead. As I said, artificial intelligence comprised of so many different things, right? And you may be using a lot of these things on daily basis, right? You may or may not know they are AI. Few examples: if you have an iPhone and you are unlocking your iPhone with just by showing your face, this is also a type of AI that combines computer vision and machine learning to provide this functionality. If you use social media, everything that you see on social media, people you should connect to, groups you should follow, feeds you should follow, the ads that you see, everything is AI driven, right? If there is no AI, nobody will use social media because there are millions of posts every day, right? from beauty to science and technology. If there is no AI determining what is your interest, who you should follow, what you should watch, then it would basically be a spam feed, right? You will see random things, and there are tens of millions of posts every hour, and you would not find anything interesting, right? So AI is sort of not just nice to have for social media. The reason it exists is because AI, in sub branch of AI, machine learning, is doing all these things for you. They are behind the scene, selecting the content for you, selecting the ads for you that most likely you are going to convert on and buy the product or service. They are doing speech moderation. So if you try to post something stupid, it automatically gets removed. That's not a human being reading it. That's actually an AI that is automatically doing that. You go on Amazon, there are 600 million products Amazon has. There is no way that you would ever be able to see the full catalog of Amazon because the full catalog doesn't exist. You can't put 600 million products on your website. So Amazon runs on recommendation engine, right? When you purchase something, it recommends you what else should you purchase. When you go to Amazon, every time it would prioritize items based on your browsing history, based on your purchase history, and every data point that it can get on you, right? Whether you go to Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, every product that you are using has a recommendation system. Let me give you one metric that will shock you. Netflix revealed that 80% of the content that is watched on Netflix is through recommendation systems, right? That means people don't go on Netflix and search for a movie and watch that movie. People open Netflix based on my history, my persona, whatever this AI system has recommended. 8 out of 10 times, people just watch what Netflix recommend, right? So something to think about. It's very powerful, right? Because it is capable of changing your thinking or the way you behave at a really, really large scale because there are millions of people who are watching Netflix, YouTube. So very, very critical stuff here. If you have Alexa, if you have any digital device, they are also using some pieces of AI, even though at this point, most of these devices are going to be replaced by more modern chatbots like ChatGPT. But these devices, even though they were never, very useful, they also had one aspect of AI specifically called natural language processing. If you are able to set a background on Zoom like this, like what I have said right now, this is also artificial intelligence. In real time, we use machine learning algorithms, specifically clustering, to detect the boundary of the face and then replace the background with any image or video we want. Historically, if you want to do something like this, you would put a green screen behind you, record it, and then in editing, you can replace the background. And you see in how far we have come. This is happening in real time. There's no green screen. There's nothing. With a click of a button, I'm putting anything in the background. If you are using Teams, you can also do this. You can go to settings, do noise suppression, right? Which means that you are talking on Teams, right? And if you all of a sudden start making a banging noise, what Teams can do in real time, I don't know if Zoom can do, but Teams can do in real time if you turn on this setting, is it would take the noise and exclude it, meaning the person that you're talking to would not hear the noise. And it can do that because in real time, it can analyze waves and detect, okay, this is probably the wave this person is talking, everything else, or the second channel is probably a noise, right? This specifically is machine learning. Excuse me. When you go on Google, type something, it gives you some auto completion, auto suggestions. That is also machine learning. If you're using email client like Gmail and you're typing email and you see some recommendations, this is called a smart compose feature. This is also machine learning, right? In a way, you take this idea and scale it to a really, really large level and you get something like GPT. But what is really interesting at this point in time in the history is this thing, generative artificial intelligence. It's a branch of AI. It's a new branch, right? It didn't existed 5 years ago. It's a type of AI. It's a branch of AI, type of AI, where AI is capable of generating new, novel information, whether it's text, images, audio, video, any kind of data. Any type of AI that we had up until so far was not capable of generating new information. It was capable of doing so many wonderful things like classifying, clustering, analyzing, detecting, so many wonderful things. But it was not capable of generating things, right? So this is a new type of AI, and all the excitement and all the risks, all the noise that you hear is because of this particular thing. The graph that you are looking at is showing you that we would go from, this is the revenue that all the companies in the world would make, hardware plus software plus service, because of generative AI. So this is showing you growth. This is showing that we would go from $40 billion of value produced from in 2022 to 1.3 trillion. So in next 7-8 years, this is how much we are going to grow, right? And this is just a breakdown of that number, right? If you want to track this first column 2022, you see the bottom line. This is that 40 billion number. And you see column third here, 2032 estimate, 1.3 trillion, right? And if you see this is broken down into hardware and software, most of the growth from now until 2032, there's some growth in software as well, right? There's a lot of growth in software. But if you look at this CAGR, compound annual growth rate, the software is going to grow 70%, right? So from 1.4 billion, the value produced in next 8-10 years is going to be to $80 billion. So the headline story of generative AI in one word is productivity. Whether you are a software engineer coding, whether you are artist creating images, audio, video, any creative work, any technical work, whether you are a mathematician solving problems, whether you are solving physics problem, right? The headline story is productivity. This is coming out from a report called Big Ideas 2023. Left-hand side, it shows how much time it takes for a human software engineer to code versus human plus AI, right? Just like you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to write anything, software developers, data scientists, machine learning engineers, they also have a lot of tools that they can use to automate a lot of aspects of their programming, right? So this 55% is showing that if it used to take 10 hours to do something, it will now take 5 hours. I think this is 2 years old now. Okay. And I think this is a little bit understatement. I think this 55% is actually more like 75, 80%, right? So if it used to take 10 hours, now it takes 2 hours. In other words, if it used to take 100 people to do this thing, now it takes 20 people to do this thing, right? That is other interpretation of this productivity. On the right-hand side, if you want to create an image, it takes roughly about 4 or 5 hours. If you hire somebody on Upwork and Fiverr, it will cost you $150, $200, maybe $250. With image models, it would cost you maybe 1 cent. This 0.08 is a 2-year-old number. This number is now 0.008. And at some point, it's going to become negligible, meaning in $1, you can create 10,000 images, right? So it wouldn't even matter. If you compare the cost of what it would cost you to produce this image today, right, versus what it costs for AI to produce this image, it is a very, very big difference. Same goes for coding tasks. Same goes for any task that AI is going to touch and impact. At the same time, the cost of building this AI is also plummeting 100x per year. So a model like GPT-3, which is one generation prior to GPT-4, which powers ChatGPT, when it was trained in year 2020, it costed $4.6 million. In 2022, the cost of training that model became $500,000. And a forecast is by 2030, it would cost only $30 to train a model of GPT-3 scale, and you'd be able to do it on your laptop. And this is happening. There is something called as Moore's law, right? Moore's law is every year, the transistors on the chip, right? So the throughput increases and the cost decreases. That law is also playing here as well. And this is happening because of advancement in hardware. We are making better hardware, better GPUs, more throughput GPUs, And it is also happening because we are finding better software techniques, right? This is a very important thing to watch for, because this simply means that if the cost keeps going down, at some point, it will drive massive adoption, right? If it will only cost you $1 a month to have an AI that has access to all your emails, chats, WhatsApp, phone, medical record, like every single thing, right? And then you can ask this AI whatever you want, versus it costs you $300. You can imagine if it costs $300, only few people will adopt it. Versus if it costs $1, then half of the world would use it, right? So this is really important that cost continues to go down. The biggest example of generative AI is ChatGPT, that you can go chat.com, you can type whatever question in as a text and get the answer back as a text. The extension of this technology into images. So you type something in text, instead of getting the answer back in text, you get the image back. Right? And there are many different models in this category as well, and they have improved so much over time, right? For example, if I ask you to identify which one of this image is AI generated, you would have a very hard time in picking, because they all look very, very real, right? The correct answer is all of these images are AI generated, right? They are not real. And if you zoom in into one of this image, right, you would see, for example, this napkin here. If I zoom in, it looks like there's something written on it, but there's nothing. Same goes for this softboard behind the scene, right? So it is giving you an impression of a real picture, but it's not a real picture. And at this point, it is also, it's not very easy for people to identify what is real and what is not real. The same technology also get extended into video, right? So instead of you going out in the world, hiring people, buying equipments, locations, set, AI would take a prompt in English, create a scene where monkey is fighting somebody on moon, right? And you would get a video that is just as good as if you would have directed that, right? Let me play this video.
In a place beyond imagination, where the horizon kisses the heavens, one man dares to journey where few have ventured. Armed with nothing but his wit.
So the idea is pretty same, right? You would go to ChatGPT and you would say, create a 1 minute scene of monkey talking with lion, right? Or something like that. The model is not yet available to public. It's still under rigorous testing. And the model is called Sora, right? So the technology, you can go text to text, text to image, text to video, and as you would have guessed, you can also go text to audio. So you can go, and at some point you'd be able to go to ChatGPT and say, create a song in the style of Michael Jackson on XYZ topic. It would write the lyrics, it would compose the music, and it would sing the song. And most people wouldn't be able to identify if it's AI or not. Right now, use your imagination, what kind of impact this is going to cause in entertainment industry, in adult entertainment industry, in marketing, in content creation, anywhere there is interactive content. It is very expensive to create a 5 minute marketing video today. It would cost you $30,000-$40,000 if you want to create a production grade video. That 40,000 with AI could potentially become 4,000 or maybe 400, right? So all this is good, right? You can create images, you can do the homework, you can write essays, whatever, right? But what does this mean? This technology is now coming in every product, whether it's a paintbrush, whether it's a Word, whether it's a PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, browser, your weather application, your bank application, your healthcare provider. Every application are building features, and Microsoft is obviously sprinkling AI on every product, right? Let's see few demos how this could impact you. If already not has impacted you, this could impact you in coming years, right? This is an example of how people would or could use PowerPoint in future.
Let's say you're getting ready for your customer pitch meeting. Everyone has had a moment when they wish they could turn their proposal into a customer-ready presentation without having to start from scratch. Now you can. Using just your own words, Copilot can translate Word into PowerPoint. You can also translate PowerPoint into Word. Now you have a professional-looking presentation that you can hone and polish. Let's say you want to add a slide. Give Copilot some quick instructions. There it goes, ready for you to review. So this slide is too wordy. Let's ask Copilot to make it more visual. Give it a few seconds, and check this out. Copilot can even animate the slide. It gives it a professional design treatment in a single click. But it doesn't stop there. Copilot even generates speaker notes for all your slides. It's not only a time saver, it's helping you be a better presenter.
At this point, this thing that you just saw has become a very basic feature, meaning PowerPoint has this Copilot, but there are hundreds of products out there, and many of them are free, which uses AI to create the content, animate it, sequence it, etc., right? So this is not something extraordinary. This is really basic of what something the technology can do. The same idea in Microsoft Teams is, let's see this video.
Makes every meeting a productive one. Here, you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize what's happened so far. Copilot summarizes who said what and what points were made.
Yeah, so there is a very real possibility that in a few years, instead of a Scrum Master joining your call and asking you, what did you do last week? There's the AI Scrum Master that is doing that with thousands of people across the company and automatically creating summary for management that, executives are reviewing. Not only that, based on these meetings, you could, totally expect that you would get a message on Microsoft Teams following up for the task. Remember, we agreed in this meeting, you were supposed to do this. What happened, right? So this is something today program managers or project managers do. I could very well see a possibility where, everybody would have an AI bot in their Teams or Zoom, right? Same idea can be translated into education, right? In my course, we have experimented last year to create an AI teaching assistant. So if students have question, when is the assignment due, or what is the grading criteria, what are the expectations, or what did we covered in week 3 of the class, instead of actually going to a human teaching assistant, they can go online to an AI chatbot and ask the same questions and get the answer immediately, better answers quickly and accurately, right? So this idea will translate into everything that you can think of, right? Every profession, every software is impacted. For example, if your job is to design images, graphics, stuff on Adobe Photoshop, then your softwares will also be impacted. The bottom line being, whether you are writing code, whether you are creating Excel spreadsheets, whether you are a consultant and creating PowerPoint presentations, whether you are a software engineer developing infrastructure, whether you are a designer developing images, logos, storyboards, whether you are a strategic planner who are programming or designing plans, regardless of what you are going to do, there would be a significant impact, both in terms of how you do it and the softwares that you use to do those tasks. Look around you, every app, right? Whether it's a weather app, whether it's a Walmart, has a Gen AI functionality. For example, you can go to Walmart and instead of, you want to plan a birthday party, right? So what you would normally do is you'd go look for birthday props, decorations, 10 things, right? Separately. Now you can go in search bar and say birthday party for 10 kids, Spider-Man theme, 8-year-old, right? And it can automatically understand what you want to do, add the items to the cart, you click and pay. Right? If it's your weather app, you can open on your mobile and ask, should I wear a jacket tomorrow? And it would understand what you're asking, what's the weather tomorrow, and it would give you an answer. And this is also a very powerful concept in teaching applications. As I said, instead of waiting to meet my teaching assistant every Wednesday evening, now, if you have a question, when is this assignment due, or what is the grading criteria, just open up a mobile, ask the question, and get the answer immediately. Right? Let's see the last video, and then we'll conclude the presentation and give some time back for Q&A. This demo happened just a few months ago. Another model, which is a real-time model, right? Maybe you have seen this, maybe not, but this is for the first time where you will not feel that what you are hearing is actually an AI voice, right? It looks very real. So let's see that.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Rocky. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm awesome. Listen, I got some huge news.
Good tell.
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
Well, it's for a software engineering role, but I just need to know, do I look presentable, professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the I've been coding all night look down, which could actually work in your favor. Maybe just hand through your hair or lean into the mad cheese. Fine.
So a few things to notice, right? The sound is very natural. The understanding is great. There's a sense of humor, very natural. The latency impact is almost nil, right? It's not like you're saying something, waiting 5 seconds, and then it's giving you an answer back. This is almost like you're talking, right? And if I continue this video, at some point, they're putting two AIs and let them talk to each other, right? And it would do flawlessly. This will enable, basically, if you think about it, you are giving interviews. It's very possible 3 years from today, the job interviews you are giving, the recruiter, or at least first few rounds of interview, is a AI just naturally conversing with you, right? Today, companies can't interview 10,000 people because there is human limitation, but this AI is a software. You can interview 1 million people if you want, right? This technology can take away call center jobs, right? I don't know how good your experience is. If you have ever called Fido, Rogers, RBC, CIBC, I feel miserable waiting 4 hours every time I call, right? And the answer they give you is not something you would think that you would need a human for, right? The answer is probably a policy or written somewhere. And if we replace that with AI, then nobody will have to wait 4 hours, right? Now, obviously, the big danger in the room is there are 17 million call center agents in the world. There are 28 million software engineers in the world, right? So this comes down to, right, again, very opinionated, but in my view, it comes down to this. What you are looking at is the cost per minute. It's not a per hour cost. It's a cost per minute for call center agents. If it's in USA, it's costing, as of today, $0.3 a minute. If you translate this, it is about $18 an hour. So very expensive to hire call center agents in US, right? I think Canada will also be along the same lines, right? $17, $18. India is the cheapest, 0.03 per minute. If you translate that, it's like $2 an hour, right? The model today, this green bar here, if you convert this number into per hour, it's $9 per hour. With the historic trend of cost decline in all models, this $9 per hour in matter of maybe a few months or a year most would probably become like 1 cent or 2 cent or maybe $1 per hour, cheaper than call center agents in India. It costs $18 per hour to hire a human call center agent in USA. It would cost a few cents to do that. And then nobody would have to wait 4 hours. You can scale as much as you want. The cost is negligible. The accuracy is 2 to 3x higher. You don't have to train. You don't have to rely on English speaking skills, right? Today, if you let AI use your computer to do any task could be check all my emails and create responses to students, right? So AI can go open your browser, open your email, read the email, open the portal, look up for student ID, whatever it needs to do in order to solve that problem. It could go hire somebody on Fiverr. It could go apply to 10 jobs. It could go develop a software. It would cost $20 per hour. If I buy this AI agent from Anthropic today, plug into my computer and run it for 24 hours and give it tasks, right? Do this, find people on social media that I can advertise to, okay? Whatever that task may be, that you can do on computers, okay? Not physical, on computer. Will cost you $20 an hour. Most of the admin type of jobs are minimum wage jobs. They are less than $20, right? But this $20 at some point would become $2. In the same story that I just told about call center agent, right? When it would cost you $2 an hour to hire an AI agent, and you can hire as many as you want, and you'll only be charged when you use it, right? And it can do any task that any employee in HR, finance, admin, etc., can do, not physical tasks, right? Tasks on computer, tasks that require the usage of computer and the knowledge of the world. So this is where I want to end, right? This is the last slide. And I think if you choose to come into this program or any other analytics, data science, AI related program, this is a very good summary. There are 3 types of careers you can end up with if you do this program or any other related AI, data science, machine learning program. The first category, I put all the data analysts, business analysts, BI analysts, product managers, program managers. That's the data analyst category. Least technical of all, right? And the rightmost side, data engineer, most technical of all, right? So if you aim to become a data engineer, this degree or any other related degree is going to help, but your life would be 60 to 70% of the day you would be coding. And data scientist is in the middle. It is also a technical position. You'd have to do a lot of coding, a lot of programming, a lot of maths, a lot of analysis, a lot of presentation. But data scientist is sort of in the middle, as in 50% of the time you'll be coding, 50% of the time you'll be working with business, doing presentation, etc., right? So going from left to right is least technical to most technical, right? Most of the careers are covered here. If you want, take a picture of this slide and maybe do a little bit more research before making your decision. And that would be all. Thank you, everyone.